Some APA content. Let's go. This is the singles qualifier. So I played in this just recently, just last weekend, and it's skill level ranked. So APA skill levels, and this is my buddy Bob. He's from my master's team, friend of mine. Shout out to Bob. And he and I had to match up here in the first round. So I break dry. We'll get our first look at Bob here. It's a funny situation being matched up against, a friend or a teammate, right? Because like you're rooting for him, like you want him to play well, especially as your teammate for Masters. But it's also like, I want to win too. So hopefully it's a good match. I'm pretty fresh on this one. I just came off it last weekend, so remember it pretty well. Good shot there to get on the 1. He'll just need to kind of come back out for the 5 or the 2 here to maintain some movement. Really the trickiest part here is going to look like the 4 and the 8. Looks like he's opting for the 5 instead of the 1. Yeah, I don't mind that because I know the 2 leads to the 1 here. But overall it was a good day. It's a double elimination tournament, and they did something called a sort of like a splash bracket or something like that. I didn't really follow the format too closely, but you start off matched up against people closer to your skill level, and then it might kind of trickle out from there. So it looks like he'll need to maintain an angle on the 1 ball. It's a little tricky here with the 10 ball being in play. Race to 5 for us if it's a 7 versus a 7. So yeah, he's really got to make a decision here. I like the extra time he's taking to look at how the 1 takes him to the 2. Plays below the 1. Not a ton of angle, but then you're guaranteed to not bring the 10 ball into play. And he's going to come with a bit of a shot to get down table, but it looks like he should be able to just cheat the pocket and float down towards the 12. This is nicely played. Flirts with the side pocket a little bit, but he does drop pretty much perfectly on the 4. He's going to come around and look at the 8 ball. Could just be kind of a stop shot or stun run through to drop the 8 in the side. If he gets out from here, it's a very nice way to snag this first game. Gets rewarded with a nice shot from the 1 to the 4. He confirms with me that I was okay to call the pocket, and Bob and I know each other, so we don't need to mark it. But as per the rules, unless the opponents agree otherwise, obviously just like sportsmanship wise, you're supposed to be marking the pockets. So winner breaks in this format. Good opener here. Take what you make in APA. Bob's going to be looking at the 11 most likely in the side. He does also have the options of the 15 and the 12. But if you can solve the 10-2 situation, either by playing short side shape, unless he has the angle to develop the 10 to sort of roll into the 10 from the 11, that would probably be the way to go. Quality's not the best on this one because I had to pull it from my live stream. Had some issues with the stream on the day of the tournament, just with music copyright. Interestingly enough, normally when I run the streams, they don't give me a hard time about that. They being YouTube, don't give me a hard time about that until after the match is posted. After the full video goes up, they'll usually take it down. But I haven't had it interrupt it while live streaming before, so maybe there's been some policy changes that I'll have to brush up on. Makes sense he'd go after the 10. Just a pretty awkward kind of back cut, and I get my first inning here. I felt really good in warm-ups. Came in loose, seeing the table pretty well. This is a tough layout. The 7-3 situation is tough. The 7 not going past. The 3 not really having great options, maybe left side. The 5 ball does go past the 15 currently. Got the options of the 6 and the 2 to kind of open things up. 4 ball on the side could nudge the 3. So if I want to play to develop things, go off the 4 ball, nudge the 3 down. so that there's a better window for the 3 to play on the top right. Doesn't solve the 7 ball problem. Looks like I'm gonna go after the 5 and try to come across table, maybe with the intention of getting into the 12. Oh, got it up to the 7. It's a good opening shot here because I was able to get into the 7 and roll it across. I ended up clipping the 3. Now the 7 will play past. The 3 also plays. So really, with the exception of the 1 ball being a little funny, I'll have to be down table for the 1 ball. That solved a couple problems. Looking at my line for the 7, making sure that I know where the position window is for that. I'm on the 4, but it's pretty thin. I don't know if I'd want to play from the 4 to the 1 right now. There's also the understanding that I want to get to the 7 early because it's blocking the 3. So I might come across table, use the 6 to get to the 7. Or just get to the 7 right away. Sort of a two-way, I think, playing for this area to get on the 7. Ideally to get on the 7 right away or get on the 6. If I have the 7 now, I have to navigate some traffic. Yeah, this is probably the right play. Spin out and away from this instead of running with it. Clips the 12. Oh, tough scratch off the 12. So a little riskier, I guess, to come out of that way instead of maybe going around to get to center table. Try to drop on the 4 or the 6. At least in this case, turning over ball in hand to Bob with a cluster is better than a completely open table. Really, at this point for Bob, it just comes down to decision making. This doesn't make a great breakout ball for the cluster. I'm not sure how playable the 9 ball is, and if that takes you naturally into the 14, or if you'd have to take the 15. I think I'd be tempted to go after the 15 from here. I wouldn't want to do this. Yeah, I don't know if I would want to stretch over the 1, but coming into the 15 from here, natural sort of force follow to get into the cluster, and then just pick your impact point. Yeah, in this case, kind of awkward queuing. Looks like he's trying to either go, like, play the 15 off the 9 or force follow it. Okay, so he was trying to force follow the cue ball off the long rail, it seems. Gets a little fortunate to not leave me on the 6 or the 1. I do have the back of the 4, but it's fairly thin. So I'll probably have to play the 4, and if I can bite into it enough, sort of warp out away from the 4 and come back close to the center of the table. Yeah, not a great outcome here, but you just have to kind of take what you get. Did not end up with a 6. Looking at my line on the 4, maybe cheat this to play it a little fuller to the lower point down here. Make the ball a little more makeable. Just play into this and spin out, and should drop me on something. Probably come in with a bit of pace. Yeah. Down and back. Extra bounce puts me on the 6 maybe. Kind of thin on the 6. I'm on the 1. I think I'm looking at the 8 from this position and knowing that the 8 might be tough if it goes at all to the top right. If the 3 is the key ball, then that means I'll have to use the 3 this way and follow the cue ball, or yeah, follow the 3 ball down, cue ball down below the 8 for the 8 in the bottom right. If I play the 1, I could develop the 8 and then pretty good chance of dropping on the 6. 6 to the 3 is not terrible. Out and across there, nudging the 8 kind of into a worse position for the top right. So now the 8's definitely got to go somewhere else. Sort of flat on the 6, so I'll have to do some work to get the cue ball back over, but I was initially looking at this line for the 8 in the left side. It really depends on how good I can get on the 3, otherwise the 8's got to go in the bottom right. Stun across here, yeah. This played okay. I got a lot out of the cue ball. But now I know that I have to roll below the 8. These are pretty touchy. It's going to be inside, maybe extreme inside. You don't want to dig into the rail too much because contacting the 8 is going to probably send it down towards the cluster on the top left. So a lot of spin just to try to thread it down. Playing the 3 off the 10, ball doesn't go. Yeah. It was close. Maybe a little more pace, right? And cue ball opens up a bit, but it's not going to be the end of the world. Going to end up on the 8. So pretty good play overall. I mean, with a tough layout. Not upset about that, really. I don't think this, yeah, I don't think the combo's on. Jump cue's not allowed. You can jump with your playing cue, but I don't think I'm jumping at this. It looks like a pretty natural one rail kick. I'm on the 3rd diamond, so you're going to be looking at, 1.5. Maybe a little different if I go 2 rails. I might be making an adjustment to try to get into it 2 rails instead of going full, but I think a full ball is fine. Just a little off for the 2 railer. Good outcome for Bob. I mean, he gets the conversion on that safety. Back to ball in hand. If he can solve the 10, then he runs out from here, right? But maybe not a great way to get the 10. It may not play through the 3. He doesn't really want to make the 3 and then turn over the table. Playing safe again doesn't really get him too much unless he could go thin on the backside of the 12, play this combo, and then get across table to open up the 3. Knowing that he'll almost be guaranteed to end up with a shot on the 9. Pretty aggressive, but early in the match to grab the 2nd game could work out. Cutting the 15 down here and then trying to drag into the 3 is pretty tough and missable. But you've got a lot of balls to back you up after that. I like this decision here. I mean, the long combo, you make it, you're probably going to come away with a shot. Yeah, pretty makeable combo from there. Good decision, good execution. Sort of flat on this one, but it should be okay. He should just be able to pop out, get up above the 12 and play the combo if the 14 doesn't go clean. I think you just stay aggressive here. I think you just stun up above the combo, knowing that the 15, I think this is the 15 to the 12 is going to be there as a backup. It's really studying the combo, so maybe it's more awkward than it appears. Kind of played into them. Yeah, made it tricky because now the 14's in a bad spot. Sort of middle of the short rail. It's playable. He could definitely get there from the 12 to stun straight across. Like one of these. Certainly still on the aggressive side. He's got the 15. So maybe looking to give himself a better angle on the 12 to get over for the 14. Kind of hammered that one, but this could work, right? I mean, it's naturally going to send him across table. Even with a high ball, you can kind of roll with the 12. Come down, dig it into the long rail, and come out and across like that. I think that's what he tried to do. Nearly sends the 14 into the 3, which would have been a pretty good outcome for him, I would imagine. Kind of a tough outcome here. Bit on the backside of the 14, so it'll be a cut to send the 14 towards the 3. Could be hard to get safe, especially that very gentle nudge, hit the 14 and then have the cue ball hit the rail, but keep the cue ball pinched. That's really touchy. I don't know that the bank plays from here. So more aggressive play is to try to roll this 14 through the 3 ball. three's really hanging deep in there, so I mean, any kind of contact is gonna knock it down. Yeah, you just don't want to turn over from here, and you don't want to give your opponent a look at the 8 because there's so many pockets for it. Bob told me later that his intention was to leave the 14 in the pocket and just try to put me awkward on the 8. But again, risky. Yeah, I think he maybe mentioned it there or right after the rack. But risky move. It pays off. You know, he's still at the table and he's got options. Severe back cut on the 8 to the top right sends the cue ball loose. He might be able to dig into the 8, sending it to the top left and draw into the short rail and out. Awkward cueing here because he's on the point in the side pocket. So I seem to remember Bob goes for a safe here and just sort of rolls the 8 into an awkward spot for me. Calls it in the top left. I could see some players banking at this left side or bottom left corner. But Bob just decides to sort of chip it to the middle of the long rail on the left, which is a good play, right? Like you wanted to end up somewhere in here. Cross-side bank is not on here. This is a safety game that I set up for myself. So this kind of position where you're trying to send the object ball to here, or to here, right? These spots, or here. And you're moving the cue ball or the object ball into these positions. So my play in this case is to bank the 8 like this and leave it somewhere up in this area, knowing that the cue ball is going to end up down here, and then basically bait him into trying to do the same thing or trying to bank the 8 by making it, which is a tough bank. Cue ball speed's pretty good. 8 ball speed's pretty good. You know, I want it to be closer to the rail and closer to the second diamond, so I'm still working on it, but this is a good outcome. Very, very difficult cut from here. You see very few players attempt slicing this in. Bob naturally looks at this pocket, which is fair. I mean, the angles there. These are more missable than you expect, especially because you're shooting off the rail and you're probably digging into the cue ball a little bit. So maybe just a little bit of sideways on the cue ball ends up coming 2 rails for the loss in that rack. So good conversion for me with that safe. I remember my second ball break wasn't working too well in the day of this tournament. I think eventually I'd make that adjustment, but so yeah, the first rack I broke and there was a good opening and he ran that out. Let's see if he is capable of doing that again. You got to take stripes from here, right? The 7 and the 4 are no good. He's on the stripes. More conservative play is to leave the 15. The 6 is blocking the 10 and the 9, so he'll need a solution for that. Interesting layout here. He could chip this in, this 14, and that puts him on the 12, maybe the 15 in the side, or the 11 in the side comes after. Good confident opening shot, right? Shooting out into space like that with the 15 hanging. Bob can really catch a gear in terms of his mental game if he is trusting himself and he's just letting his game do the work. It's cool to see him open up a little bit during the tournament. Takes a little funny off that one. I'm not sure if the intention was to get down to center table. Holding that ball for the 11 in the side, it's a bit more of a shot on the 11, but then it naturally takes you to the 15. And then maybe you start to shape, you know, the 9 down here, something like that. But he needs to think about this cluster and picking those apart. Nice touch on the 11 ball there to stay on the 15. So very comfortable. Bob also has a 7-foot diamond table in his basement, so he knows he knows how these feel. This particular location used to have all valley tables. You'd seen it in one of my previous Masters matches, probably. And they were rough conditions. So it's very refreshing to have this location outfitted with new diamond tables. The 9 might squeeze past the 6 here. He's got to think about shape for the 13 and the 10. Like, it's nice to make the 9, but what's next? Oh, the 13 went. Interesting. Yeah, then playing it with some pace could have helped to open up the 9. He might have to go safe here. Play the 10 into the 5, on top of the 5. Try to play it. Yeah. I don't think it'll go in off the 5 from here, but good speed, gets a rail with the cue ball. 5 is obstructed, and he doesn't leave me much outside of 1 in the side, 3 in the corner. It's a good play. It's a good conservative play. He knows his 10 ball's tied up, but that I'll have to deal with that problem at some point. Advantage to me in this case where I have a lot of blockers. So my consideration is knowing that the 2 ball plays off the 5 and clears out that problem. Everything else is open except the 4 and the 7. I opt for going into the 4 and the 7 right away to solve that problem, to bust those up, shuffle things around a little bit, and simultaneously block him on the 10 and 9. So I have to force him to kick at his 2 remaining balls. I'm looking at it just in case there's anything on, but I wasn't seeing anything. So I basically just play to shuffle these around and contain the cue ball. So it's blocking the 9. It ends up sending the 4 and the 7 both down table, which is nice for me. So the whole top half of the table is taken out of play for the most part. And he has to kick into the 10, which frees up the 5, and the 10 ball doesn't go. Or he has to kick at the 9. I think he'd be disinclined to go after the 10, because he probably feels like it's keeping the 5 safe. So he's just finding his line at the 9. See if he comes into it with some pace, tries to make something happen here. Kick into it for the cross side make. I know he had a chuckle at that one. Doesn't bother me too much in this particular rack because the 10 is really locked down. And maybe I get ball in hand from here. That would be nice. If he kicks into the 10 and makes the 5, it really doesn't help him too much. Unless the 10 ends up rolling through and blocking the pocket. That might cause a problem for me. But his kicks look pretty good, so I don't expect he's going to give up ball in hand. Nice touch. And yeah, a good outcome here. So makes a good hit. Leaves me with some shots. I'm not sure if I have the 4 ball or not. But my consideration is as intimidating as these shots can feel here under pressure, that if I miss kind of thing that can come up, I know that I can just roll through that and shoot these in. And I also have to start getting some momentum going for myself. So shoot that one. It would have been nice to end up a little neater on the 1 ball if I could have just popped the 1 ball into the bottom right with a stop shot and then drop on the 3 after that. It would clean those up. But I might play from the 3 to the 1. Coming out for the corner instead of the side. That's fine. The combination is on. It's a little awkward just based on where the 6 is going to want to go. And that's what I'm looking at right away. I know I need to make the 1. And Probably just stun across because I don't want to have to deal with sending the 7 into the 6 and the 4. I want to go from the 1 to the 6-4 combo. And you can see my tempo's up a little bit, just trying to get in stroke. So sliding that one in, I end up pretty good on the 6-4. I do believe the 7 will pass the 10, so I could play this with pace, like a stop shot on the 6 and send the 6 ball out. Too full, a little too full on the 4 ball for the cut. And I come away with a weird situation on the 6-7. Probably just play safe here, I guess, right? Or like roll through the 6 and put him on the 7. If I can take away the easy one rail kick, he's not going to kick at it this way necessarily. Not a good chance of doing anything. So he's almost always going to want to come this way, probably 2 rails. He'll want to think a little about his shape, put some pace into it. But I mean, even if you did go 1 rail at this and make it, and the cue ball stays down here, it's not a terrible outcome to try to cut in the 8. And if you don't like the cut, then you can do a pretty easy return safe. Roll the 8 closer to the pocket and leave me awkward on the 6-7. Gets into it 2 rails. Makes a good hit. And here, yeah, comes away with a good outcome. Very aggressive play to bank the 7 in the bottom right with a chance of nudging out the 6. I don't know that I go for that. Don't think that's what I would do here normally. I think I just roll on the 7. I think I just try to like slow roll up on the 7 and try to get ball in hand here. But you leave a pretty good, you're likely to leave an opening on the short rail for him to just kick into the 10 from down there. So I really should, yeah, I should have tried to leave the cue ball on the 7, leave the 7 right on the cue ball so that it takes away, well, the cleaner line takes away this guy. But I think he's got that kick right now. And he's got, yeah, it looks like he has enough room to go into it for the cut with some pace to get the cue ball up table. So here's his second swing at making this 10 ball. My safes are just not holding him back enough, right? Not quite tight enough. Pretty close. This is an opportunity. It's not great, but sometimes I might fire at the 7 ball with low left to try to nudge the 6 ball out of there. There's also a play to bust into the 7 this way with pace and try to come all the way out and back. Put a lot of pace into the 7 ball and you can warp off. Yeah, I'm just gonna miss that ball. Didn't take my time on that one. It's one of those I was like praying for it to end up behind the 7 or something silly, right? You don't want to win that way necessarily. I was definitely hoping. It's like I need just like one more chance at this. So not in it yet. But Bob's third attempt at making this one with a clean shot at the 10. Bit of a stretch, but pretty natural to go thin on the 10 ball and just get the cue ball neatly up on the 8 ball down here. So by rights, should have made that 7 ball for sure. Just didn't take enough time with it. Yeah, you don't need much there. Good play. Bob snaps in the 8 ball, watching the cue ball, doesn't drop. Grabs another quick one. No 8 ball this time. So one of each. With choice here, if he's got a shot at the 1, I would probably take that. He just has to figure out the 6 ball. The 6 ball is the biggest problem, really. There's plenty close to the 8. He might be able to shoot the 1 and immediately use the 5 to get into the 6. Nudge that up table. This looks okay. He should be able to get into the 6. He just has to not put it into the 12 and the 13. But pretty natural line there. And then he either ends up with a shot at the 3 or the 2, or maybe if he comes out high enough, he'll be above the 4. There's the play to stun across off the 4 ball, like a high ball, to go into the 14 and the 6. But I think the 5's more natural. Ended up going into the 9 from underneath, which moves the 9 and the 14, clearing out the 6 and doesn't gum up the 4. So that worked out pretty well. Stun up for the 4 here, like kind of roll up for the 4. High ball, but maybe a touch of outside. He's on the 4, but he's jacked up over the 2, so he probably has to take the 2 from here. Just snip off that, or roll up above it. If he can get above the 3, it could work out to get on the 4. Good play. Starting to look like a break and run here after an 8 on the break too. This is where you just keep your cool. You just take a look at the layout and like, I know how to shoot a stop shot on the 3. Just have to pick your window on the 8. Draw back into the 14 to play the 8 in the bottom right. Oh, lunged at it a little bit. Still got it. Played it full, which sent the cue ball towards the 12. Little helpful stopper on the 12. Puts him clean on the 8 for the bottom left. It's a nice out. Bob's on the hill. Good break. One of each again. It's nice to have choice. Gotta like stripes here, right? As long as you can find something for the 11. The 10's not super friendly. Don't know that the 11 goes on the left side, but combo here, yeah, holding the 15 so that he's got an option after that. Yeah, he's got to think about the 10 because it doesn't have a great pocket. It might go in the bottom left, but it's hard to get shape on that right now. Drifts out. The 11 must go. I think he's kind of under it, though. It might not naturally take him to the 12. So does he have to slide over? Played into the 10. This could work really well if there's enough room between the 1 and the rail. Goes a rail first on the 10. possibly also holding the cue ball for the 14. It's starting to shape up again. If the 10 ball plays, he might get out again. Oh, he's banking the 10. Big decision there. Kind of comes away with a good outcome though. Clusters up the 2, 4, and the 6. The 7's blocked. I've got open access to the 1, which is nice. At least I have an opening shot, but I go down to look below the 2 and the 6, and the 6 will go, I seem to remember, in the bottom right. So if I can get below that pack, then I have a good option for a safe, or I can play the 6. 7 should go in the right side. So I just start to identify options early. I might have to contend with a big draw shot on the 1 ball to get down towards the 4. Not right into the pocket again. Oh boy. Yeah, I kind of shake my head at that one because it just felt off. I'm just not putting it where I'm expecting. I have been just sitting and watching Bob run out for the most part though, so there's that. And don't come away with a shot. I mean, if the 4 is cuttable, but you're turning the cue ball loose and there's just no future, you're not going to land on anything really. So I might just have to play safe, maybe just roll down off the 4, keep him away from the 12, and encourage him to hit the 14, which clears up my 7. I think this turned out okay. I don't think I gave him a rail first on the 12, coming into the left long rail. So yeah, I just wanted to funnel him towards the 14, because if he opens that up, then my chances get a lot better here. He's looking at where he wants his cue ball, so he'll probably go thin off the 14 and put me below the 6 and the 2. It's good practice. Overrolls it quite a bit. And I land on the 3. I have to think about the 2 and the 6 if I need to develop those, or if I'm playing shape for the big 6 ball shot in the bottom right. I look at my line from the 3 to the 4. If I stop in that area, then I can get on the 4, potentially with a breakout on the 6 and the 2. But then I have to rely on having a shot on the 6 or the 2 after that. Pinch back a little bit just to give me a better angle. This is kind of a roll of the dice here because the 6 is right on the 2. It's interesting, I didn't go around and look at where on the 6 I wanted to hit it. Yeah, pretty risky. Almost put the 2 right back on the 6, but I do come away with a shot. I ended up on the 6. So I have to think about going between the 2 and the 7. Looks like I'm going to roll up for the 7 and then come across for the 2. Knowing that the 2 ball's there if I don't get on the 7. This play's okay. And I think it's interesting, I go after the 7 here because I could certainly play 7, 8 like this. But I'm going to use the 7 to come across for the 2. I wonder why I did that. I must not like the 7 in the right side. Little much. Little much, you know, a little close to my work, but this should be salvageable. Just look at my line to roll out towards the 12 or kind of above the 12, shaping the 8 in the right, top right corner. Out and around. Don't make me shoot over a ball, please. That looks okay. Take a breath, man. Chalk your cue. Let's try to win a game here. Because the one game I have on the string so far was Bob putting the 8 ball in the wrong pocket. Got one. See if I can mount a little comeback here to Adam Marr's point. I kind of end up wait until things get a little hairy before I turn it on. So we'll see if I can avoid that this time. After all that build up from the last rack, gotta turn it over again. And with a decently open layout again, right? Maybe the 10 ball's not great. It goes in the bottom right. He could just solve that right now. The 9 takes him to the 13. That would be a way to go out, right? It's for Bob to run out on me here. Good kind of containing opening shot. It does put him in sort of a tricky position though, because there's not a great shot from here. I'd be curious about his thinking with the easy pace on that one instead of trying to come out and around. Yeah, because now he's got to contend with a sort of tricky shot on the 11 in the side, and then maybe just rolling onto the 9 for shape after that. Very missable. He didn't miss it by much, though, honestly. Played that pretty good. I do get another turn. And not a terrible layout. I think, you know, my opening shot on the 1 doesn't easily drop me on anything unless I roll forwards for the 7 in the top left. But I remember not feeling confident about that at the moment. Just didn't have a rhythm going, so I wanted to give myself more options and build up some confidence and just try to stay on the right side of the ball. So I might have to use the 1 to get down to the center of the table somehow. I think I'm on the wrong side of the 1. Do I have to like draw into the rail and out? The 6 ball's tricky. The 4 is a blocker for the 6 here, so I'd have to contend with that unless I'm playing the 6 down here. Yeah, I think I just have to play to get away from the 1 and get down below the 7 and the 5, maybe onto the 3. Managed to get past the 9. Right on top of the 3. Not a great outcome, but I do come away with a shot at the 5. The 5 could put me back on the 3. Again, the 6 doesn't really go anywhere. So I have to make a bit of a shot on the 5. But sometimes you just have to earn it back. Ended up being pretty straight in. On the 3, pinch back for the 7 might have been nice because then I wouldn't have to come back up table again. But I think the idea was stay in the center so that I have the 3, maybe the 4. If I'm on the 4 now, then I roll down for the 2 because that clears up the 6. Might be looking like a 6 ball is the key. Didn't leave a lot of angle on the 2 ball, so I have to work a little harder to get back out. Might have to just punch up and get above the 3. I could probably just roll forward and play the 3 in the bottom left. So I'm picking my spot. I want to be on a line on the 3 to where I can make the 3 and then shape the 7. And I have to shape the 7 in the bottom right probably so that it takes me towards the 6. I kind of got there, I'm pretty sure. But that 12 ball's big, right? Like, it's such a blocker. Can I roll off the 3, stun follow kind of thing on the 3 to roll into the 12? Any kind of shot from the 7 in there is better than being behind the 12. Thinking too much about the 12. Missed the ball. Bob could close this one out. Not a ton of problems. Really just has to negotiate the 10, 6, 11 thing over here, but it's nothing crazy. The 11 goes easily. His opening shot is a little touchy. He's either got to thin the 13 or shoot the 15. I think if the queuing's not bad, I'd rather shoot the 15 from here. Out and across, knowing he's got lots of options. Landed on the 9. He could play the 11. Going after the 11, just needs to make sure that he comes out. Came out just enough for the 12. A little risky to play it kind of like a stop shot, like a snip draw sort of thing. But I do think he's got the shot. If he's kind of flat on the 12, then he'll have some work to do to get on the 9, unless he can just roll under it. Shape the 9 from down here. Looking at it really closely, like it's a tight fit. He's got enough room to dig into the cue ball. Kind of skipped it over there, but it got through. The 10 ball goes clean past the 6. I mean, that busts this wide open. I thought it didn't go. Oh, he's going to be fine. He's natural on the 9 to roll towards the 13. And as long as he's flat enough on the 13, he holds it for the 8, which is right here. Yeah, the 10 ball busted it wide open. Good pattern play. Full enough on the 9 to come in. Doesn't mess with the 3. He knows he's a little steep on the 13, but he's not going to end up that far away. So you just roll this in. Cue ball tracks up towards the 7, but he's always going to have that shot. Nice. It's a good way to close out. Good match, sir. Well played. Not how you want to start your APA singles qualifier run, right? But still feeling good, still feeling good about my game and liking my chances. So I get knocked back to the loser's side, the one-loss side, and I have to fight through that. It's going to be more mixed handicaps. I think it takes me away from the 6s and 7s based on the way the tournament director put it through, but that means I have to deal with different handicapping, so I'll be giving up some weight. So stay tuned, more matches to come, and we'll see if we can get through this one. Thanks for being here, guys.